All right. New pot name makes explosive move. Let's check out that article. Pizza PYX up 38% on Monday. Citron giving it positive news. That's interesting. What's up, Nighthawk? I haven't seen PYX. That's a new one to me. Oh, okay. Cool. PYX off to the races after soaring 38% Monday. Up another 20% today. So that's what, $9? So it basically puts it at $49 up here. Could be. Alright, that's IBD's leading article. Futures are down 0.25%. Actually, I never even saw if they put the market in a... No, they have the uptrend under pressure. Oh yeah, because yesterday was a... the volume was lower yesterday. Good support day. Let's check out... Where are you? Looking for the market trend. There we go, big picture. See what big picture has to say. Stocks bounce, but these factors weigh on hopes for a bottom. Is the article? Pull it up here. So 8 on the Nasdaq. Looks like a few have dropped off, and 3 on the S&P in terms of distribution days. We've talked about this a little bit. What distribution days imply. The put-call volume ratio has risen lately, but not to the heights of new market low of the market lows. Suggest the market's not quite done selling off. The CBO volatility index did trigger a bottoming signal. The VIX at its better known spiked more than 20% above its 10-day moving average. That's marked a number of IBD lows, as psychological indicators show. Let's go check that out. No indicator is as important as leading stocks, and that's another area of concern. The big picture cautioned a week ago a sudden slide in many stocks caused a caution sign. Today, the IBD 50 remained hobbled, tumbled 1.9%, and didn't pair losses like the indexes did. Okay, so that's not good. So this is going back all this year. This is that January drop that we had. Let's go read what it's showing us here. Look for the VIX to rise more than 20% above its 10-day moving average, which can confirm a positive reversal in the trend. So I'm guessing this blue, or green, I guess, is the 10-day moving average. It did spike well above it on this one day. Just this one day. This one I don't think was quite 10%. I mean, I don't know for sure, but... Okay, so I guess these are where it spiked 10%. All of these red marks. For whatever that's worth. Leaders up in volume, Eli Lilly. Leaders down in volume, SQ, CW, HSC, Intuitive, Team, and PayPal. Okay. Look at some pre-market movers here. This is what I look at in the mornings generally. There's PYX, RASN. We'll take a look at these. RASN, up to 430, so not quite popping super huge. The Bless says, are we due for a major correction? I don't know. I don't know. I don't think anyone can know. I did lighten up a few days ago on that first big day. I lightened up there. A lot. I did pick up some Eli Lilly yesterday based on that lightning. I had a limit order on a Boeing that did not get filled. So, but that's all I have right now. I got rid of my triple index position. It was just looking really, really, really toppy. Now, we talked about distribution days, and we're at 8 right now. I wish they would still annotize the charts, but we're at 8 distribution days right now. I'm not sure what we were at yesterday. I guess I could go look. Let me go see. October 5th. This was Friday. Let's see how many distribution days we had on Friday. Also 8. And the day before that, I saw 9 up here. There's 9, 4 on the S&P. S&P is not super distributed though, and it may have to do with the fact that there's been such profit on the Nasdaq that they're focusing a majority of their selling on these tech names that have just, made them Ubers of billions of dollars. That may be exactly what is happening. But the fact there's only 4 distribution days on the S&P leads to that this may not be a significant correction. While there may be an event, I don't know about a correction. Now, they were saying, I don't know if you saw a little bit ago, they mentioned the that many leading stocks were not behaving well, and a lot of the IBD 50 did not come back as the indexes did. So it's possibly showing that they're moving money into, different sectors. It's called sector rotation is what they call it. It's a fancy term for, hey, I'm moving money from winning sectors into sectors that may have more value or more room to run. Usually when you get sector rotation, it's because they think that particular sector has run its course and they're rotating out of that into a sector which may have more upside momentum based on macroeconomics. They're looking at business cycles. They're looking at all kinds of stuff. They got billions of dollars worth of people doing research every single day. So, hold on a second. Yo, what up, Eli? So, yeah, with some sector rotation, or maybe they're just taking profits off of the table. It just, you never do quite get to know. And pretty much the way to tell is that you can see what stocks are leading. Is this group going up? Is that group going up? Or no groups going up? That's pretty much a really good way to tell. If nothing's going up in concert with this downside movement, now I haven't really been privy to exactly how they make their trade, so I don't know if they sit on the money for a few days or a week, or if they, they probably do that. They probably don't just sell and buy immediately. They're pretty methodical with what they do. Now they may have a plan, and maybe that does mean that they buy and sell immediately. I don't know, but let's see if I can find a list of ETFs. Actually, something I've wanted to do. Yeah, there we go. FinViz may already have something. in terms of a sector ETF list. Portfolio groups, maybe. So here you go. Here, this can probably give you a little bit. So 1-day performance, utilities going up is never a good thing. Actually, you see there's a 1-to-1 correlation right there. 1.1 up, 1.1 down between technology and utilities. There's also defensive sectors, utilities being a defensive sector. Typically, utilities growth rate very rarely slows. It very rarely goes down. But it also very rarely does good things. So people will pump money into utilities when the market's getting very top heavy. So that's interesting to see. 1 week performance, best one by far is utilities, technology, services, healthcare, all being sold off. Basic materials in 1 month, utilities are down here, and still it's technology, services being sold off. 3 month, 6 month, healthcare has been plowed into. Services, conglomerates, and they've still been selling tech off a little bit for 6 months. 1 year performance, how's tech down 33% in a year? That seems like a disingenuous print right there. And then year-to-date performance, technology. So they've really been dumping into healthcare and services over the past 8 months or so. And then it looks like here you've got healthcare over 3 months. But I can guarantee you that's just a huge, these are some interesting things. Wow, that's pretty big. Those are some pretty big numbers right there. Grid, charts. Oh, there you go. There's some charts. You can see that just the overall rise in healthcare right there. Services as well, like we said. Technology, that's an interesting trend. I would be very curious what they consider. 796 stocks in technology. Just really, I find this odd. I find this very odd. They're selling tech names. They've been highly rotating into service and healthcare. Everything taking a little bit of hit recently. Industrial holding flat, probably nominal because industry doesn't really stop on a dime. They take a while to return. Financial, very flat. Conglomerates look like they want to roll over. There's your GEs. And basic materials. 500 stocks, 100 stocks, 300 stocks, 1,000 stocks, 800 stocks, 300 stocks, 800 stocks, 800 stocks, 100 stocks. Oh, this is pretty evenly split. This is intriguing to me, though, this technology thing. Oh, here you go. Here's all the tech names. Oh, so here's their sectors. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. I've never actually noticed that before. But yeah, healthcare, guys. Looks like it's pulled back twice to what would be, that is a 50-day SMA. Pulled back a number of times. Let's breeze through these market leaders real quick. The market's going to open in about a minute and a half. All right. All right, so we got RESN, PYX. This is a new marijuana play. Moving up 19%. It's up at 46. So it's rocking. I haven't even heard about this one. SBR, RTTR, GEVO, PEIX. We've seen this one up here before. Good day yesterday. And this one today is at 301. So it's just that blue line, top blue line's at 314. 301 is where this is sticking at right now. DGLY, Not looking great. YGYI. MTBC, EB. Oh, that looks good. EBR. Wow, good volume recently on EBR. EBIX, horrible day yesterday. Pizza's Papa John's gapping up to $54, which is right where that blue line is. So a touch of the 200-day moving average. Oh, wow. Look at that volume down there, guys. This could get interesting. That could get very interesting on Papa John's. Look at all this volume right here. There's quite a bit on that sell-off right there, but it reversed pretty quickly. And right there you can see we're popping higher. Market opened. NASDAQ now looks fairly flat, 0.15% down. We got Lilly at a quarter down. We got Boot up to Tesla, Tilroy, MJ, 9, Generac EC up 0.65. WHD doing good, up 0.5. That's making new highs. Let's see what's tanking on our list. PKG Funko after a big day yesterday. AMRN, Square, wow, look at PKG, guys. Look at that. That's not a very good sign. Papa Joe's needs to be looked into a little bit more. Hold on, guys. Hold on a minute. Okay. iRobot, what's it doing? Oh yeah, that broke down as well. Thinking maybe a bottom buy right there. Oh, I don't usually do bottom buys, but if you've got a channel, it's right there, and it's pretty close to the bottom of said channel. That probably is the end of the channel. 3% to the downside. Oh, you want to short iRobot? Well, I guess it depends what you want to short. I don't have the gloves for this job. Yeah, I think a lot of this has to do with where you think, we are in the market. I don't quite think we're going to tank. I don't think we're going to take it on the chin as hard as I guess it feels, or a lot of people think we are. I could be wrong about that, but well, I'm seeing some support here too. That's the troubling part. Well, I don't know about troubling, but um, there's support in each of these bars. So this day there was some support. The day before, yesterday, was a ton of support. Yesterday was even more support. You can see right there. So I picked up some Eli Lilly yesterday, and I'm kind of thinking, yeah, see those bars are about the same breadth. So it's not showing increased selling. Why? Yeah, it could be. That is possible. That is possible. Well, this market's shown tremendous resiliency, and I'm kind of giving it, the benefit of the doubt is really what I'm doing here. And, I'm still in a majority cash. But yeah, I did buy a Lilly yesterday. Let me see here. Hold on a second. Overview. Okay, what are your triggers? Forms, transaction history. Oh, when it closes below the previous day. Um, Hold on a sec. There we go. Okay. Okay. All right, cool. Well, they're both stupid ass predictions, Eli. And that's all we got. But yeah, I don't know. I think we're going into a pause. I don't think we're going to have a full-blown correction. So we'll have to wait and see. Like I said, the past couple days have had a lot of action. Why am I getting? I thought I changed this setting. Yeah, I completely agree with you with bases, Eli. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, as we speak, Eli Lilly's taking it on the chin a little bit, down 0.4%. I wonder what the up-down volume is in this thing right now. Market's up 0.2%. Carvana is doing pretty good. Pizza's holding up pretty good here today. Look at that nice volume. That's actually looking pretty darn good. Yeah, the up-down volume here is now 2.9, which is a ridiculous amount of up-down volumes. That very rarely happens. You see a company like Eli Lilly with, it was 2.2 when we first saw it, now it's at 2.9. That's adding up the buying and selling volume and dividing them against each other over the past, I think it's 13 days or 13 weeks, I think is what it is. Yeah. And then you got in Tesla today. See, we all have stuff we're looking at. Let's look at Tesla. It was up a little bit today. Not a tremendous amount, but a little bit. Yeah, those three closes aren't nearly as good. In Tesla, Lilly's going down lower. That's not good. Boeing. Oh, you're trying to play it off of the trend line? Could be. Depends what the market does. If the market... So what's today? Tuesday? Yeah, so today's Tuesday. Yeah, anything can happen today. All right, let's go see what we got. We got a bunch of stocks that are kind of up. Don't feel like they're happy about it, though. And then PKG down 6.5%, leading us lower. MYL, Weibo, YY, OGRMF, Cron, IQ lower, AMRN lower, but came back. This was up. This was down a little more. It's okay, buddy. Baba Netties, Race. Walmart gapped up. Let's check that out. We were below the low of yesterday, Eli, if you're looking to short Lilly. Walmart in an interesting little handle situation. That's because I went shopping there yesterday and bought some camping supplies. And little minor gaps. Walmart's looking healthier than it's looked in a while. Although this is not a, should be a cup with handle. This is a very low handle, so this is not a proper chart pattern. You can tell just by looking at that guy. Carvana here, looking for support there. It failed the support, which also happened to coincide with the failure of the 50-day. Carvana's probably done for right now. Starbucks moving up, which is interesting. Hey, that's great, Ethan. Thank you. My son just drew me a picture of a pumpkin. I like it. Got a boot right there. Tesla SendGrid was looking okay for a minute. Looks like it rolled over. Lilly down 1%. Sure we haven't seen a day like this. So Lilly right now, very light volume. Of course, we're only 15 minutes into the trading day. So if you extrapolate that out, 1326 sessions times 233,965. Well, you actually get 6 million out of 3.7 million average. Maybe it's a little more elevated than I think. Slack for a picture. What's up, Ethan? Check in Slack. Very nice. Yeah. Are you gonna clean up your mess first? Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, so nothing much has changed in the picture now, or nothing much has changed here. See what's the volume tell us today on the NQs? 148,000 times 26, 3.8. Huh? 3.8 million. Did I get that right? Why? What's wrong with Contrafund? What's the symbol? Oh, they're probably super heavily weighted in tech, weren't they? FCNTX. Well, so here's Fidelity on the Contrafund. We can go year to date. So it's still outperforming the S&P Large Cap Growth Fund. I see nothing wrong with the Contrafund. Or are you thinking of moving it out to like a money market mutual fund, something like that? Is that what you're thinking about? Like basically just out of any kind of a growth fund? I mean, because relative, it did behave a little bit, a little bit more aggressive to the downside, but it probably has more NASDAQ stocks in it than it does have S&P stocks. I don't know if I get too crazy moving out of something like the Contrafund, to be honest with you. Now, if you wanted to take like half of it and kind of move it into something, but here's the thing: is that, like I said, I think we go lower, but I don't know if we go into a full blown correction. I mean, we could. All right, let me look at this a little deeper. Maybe I'll change my mind. So like we said yesterday, here's a correction. Here's where a bear market would start. I think that's important to get out of the way there. Oh, I shouldn't have shorted that line. So that was a line basically like this, that both of these two previous drops basically had the same drop. You can see right there. And if we do a similar drop that takes us right down to about this trend line, which does put us in kind of a weird channel. It's a little awkward, but so yeah, I guess in theory we could drop all the way down to there with no fanfare, and that still wouldn't even give us a full-blown correction. You would just have to time this right on the buyback. You would have to, if you're gonna take the strategy of timing the market in this fashion, then yeah, I guess sell if you haven't already sold, and then wait until if and when it gets to here. You could also bounce, see this 200 period moving average right there. It also bounced off of that level, which wouldn't be quite as low. That would give us another 3-4% drop, 4% drop to that moving average right there. And then it could bounce back in a month or two. Right there. Oops. If you're gonna move, so if this is just cash that you have, Paul, that's hanging out, that you have in the contra fund, that's one thing. If this is like an IRA type of a situation, you need to look at your IRA provider, because some of them don't let you make moves but once a month. Okay, so it can be a little weird trying to, move around retirement funds in an account that you don't fully control. Like if it's a Fidelity account or a Ameritrade account where you can buy and sell every day, that's one thing. But if this is like through an employer, you may not be able to do that. So you should really look into that before you start making moves. You don't want to get caught on the wrong side of an upswing. So do your research before you arbitrarily move stuff. I had one that wouldn't let me move it but once a month, and I was kind of pissed about that, as you can imagine. But if you have the availability to move money every day if you wanted to, and if you believe in this scenario here, then yeah, by all means, go ahead and move it to a money market or just cash. Okay, so you got the once a month thing too. Well, let's see where a month would put us. So we're in 10-9. So let's draw a little bubble here from 10-9 to what would be 11-9. So that's a month on a daily chart. And I think that could really go either direction from here. Now, we did start the trend. We did break this trend line. Okay, so that's all I get. Let me change my time frame. There we go. Now I get more data. So here's the situation. Let me draw this line first. I just kind of, I don't know why I have this feeling. It's just a feeling I have, and I got nothing to back it up. Like Eli said, we don't trade on feelings, but it's not necessarily just on feelings. So there's a trend line that we broke over here. Broke below the 50-day. Let's see if this is going to prove to be fruitful or if it's not. Had a bunch of these same wicks to the upside, or to the downside, implying supportive action here and here and here and here. Notice we didn't really get much further. We had one big scary down day here, and then we reversed pretty much immediately. High volume on the wicks. This one was a pretty scary day. The wicking on the bottom wasn't significant, although we did break these and we did close. We didn't close above these closes, but we did close above the lows over here. And then we closed one day here, and then we reversed a few days later. Taking this into a situation like this into account, we could almost be like here in one of these days, and that took you 7 or 25 days. So a month you would have lost a little bit right there. So there's that scenario where we have a bunch of wicks. Let's see if there's any others. See, here's one. We had wicks early on. A little difficult to see the way. A wick there, a big supportive wick there. We had some of these scary downside moments over here, and then it reversed higher. And then here we had just a block selling all the way to the low. This one closed almost on the low. After a little bit of distribution up here, then we caved, and then here, this was that really first crazy drop where we dropped like 12% in 3-4 days. A little bit of support there, and the next day was a major buy point, and then we oscillated down here, and then we came back a few days later. The next one we had a support day here, which didn't look very, we barely came over this high. Then we rounded over again. Some pretty deep sell candles on these two, and then some support candles down here, some good green days, some oscillations down here, a couple places to get back in, a lower high here, and then we're done. So up here we have these support days fairly early on. The support's getting more egregious too. that's kind of one of the reasons why I'm not super sold on that we cave immediately. This action could reverse itself. We could try to rally higher in lower volume and really not get very far. But this action right there, and I pointed this out a little bit earlier. So this is the breadth of this day, and it pretty much coincides with the next day. And the next day even has less breadth and more upside momentum to it on the bottom here. And now we're going to have an inside day probably, and we'll see what happens after this. But while a lot of names did sell off pretty good, no chart, I'm sure. Well, some charts are incredibly broken, but other charts aren't, and it just doesn't have that overall look to me of an impending sell-off with all of this bullish action right there. Now, like I said, we could bounce for a few days into the rest of the week, into early next week, and then crater again, putting in a lower high, and that would be something different. And maybe you sell on a lower high, maybe a pullback to this 50-day as we get that. But right now, it looks like there's some support here, and people were picking at positions. So yeah, like I said, I'm not sure if I'd be necessarily selling out a 401k that you can only trade in once a month. But going back to our previous example, this one had a similar reaction here where it rose up, dropped, and still didn't get very far. I mean, these are high volumes right here. There's nothing wrong with any of these volumes for downside action, but these are above the 50-day. That's one saving grace for them. Right now, we're definitely below the 50-day. So there's the 50-day. We broke that. That's why I said maybe we back up reverse to the 50-day. So maybe there's a better exit up here. A little difficult to say right now, but with a double top up here, that's a bad thing. The selling volume here is fairly aggressive. Obviously, that's a bad thing. Some supportive action. And only 3 days to go off of isn't a whole lot of information. So I don't know. I think that's kind of my argument that we may be kind of in a bit of a muted sell-off. Even if we get another move to the downside, I don't know exactly how aggressive it's going to be. Like I said, we can go hit that 200-day right here. We can hit this trend line down here, which would coincide us with, moves of that we had earlier this year in terms of percentage at 12%, another 12% drop. So two 12% drops, and then a third later on, 12% drop. I don't know. See you, Eli. So anywho's it, that's kind of what I'm looking at right there. It is a good sell-off. Some names have been broken, but other names are holding up pretty strong. Let's take a look at the big ones. We got Netflix, we got Facebook, which is actually popping higher today, almost 2% higher. That's pretty good. Twitter. Twitter's actually not looking horrible here, kind of rounding over. Actually, slow break-in resistance of a few days now. Twitter may be a good pop up here to the 50-day at least at the $32 level. That won't be too bad. That's not bad there at all. I didn't sell off at all yesterday. Now showing some strength, which it really hasn't been showing ever since we had the earnings, Randy FU and all that stuff. So Twitter not looking super horrible down here. Did find some equilibrium, has flattened out for about a month or so. I'm not mad at it. So there you go. Twitter looking pretty good. What else we got? We got Twitter, Facebook, Amazon, bouncing a little bit, 0.5%. Apple. Ooh, didn't even make a low. Apple didn't even make a low, guys. Keep in mind the NASDAQ runs off of Apple and Amazon. I think there's like 6 stocks that make up 50% of the NASDAQ composite. So But this doesn't look super bearish on Apple. Amazon, a little more distribution on Amazon. You can see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the past 5 days have had some pretty elevated volume, although no major downside signals in Amazon there. That's almost a doji. That's almost a doji day is the bottom. That would be decent for a reversal day. You can see the open and the close are really close to each other right there. So I say almost a doji. Selling right there, and then selling. But see, the buying got more aggressive here as of late, and so that could prove your turnaround right there. So maybe this is just a short-term event. It's fully possible. It can happen. Lots of stuff can happen. So like Boeing yesterday was very supportive. Look at that. Closed like almost at the top, getting some supportive action today. Lilly living a little bit lower, down 0.6%. Just chilling down here, but it hasn't had a red day in like 9-10 days. So you got to give it 1 or 2. Like I said, even if we rally up into this, we need to see how the rally occurs. Starbucks up 3, Tesla up 3, Restoration Hardware Now's up 3. All right, so now had a shakeout below there. See, the sell-off just isn't that aggressive. I mean, it sold off, don't get me wrong, it was pretty scary, especially when you're used to nothing but upside markets. Keep in mind, if you guys haven't been trading stocks very long, you've seen nothing but upside markets, and that can really change your bias when we do go into shakeouts and corrective phases, things like that. All right, moving around too much on me here now. No, NASDAQ up 0.3% now. So not doing too bad. Not doing too bad at all. Volume here looks pretty good too on the NASDAQ. Let's look at the ES, which is the S&P 500 futures. There's the previous high, so we're still just underneath that. Right there. Looks like we're slightly above it. There's the 50-day on the S&P, and look at all that support on these down days. Support. It's not an egregious sell-off. This isn't like, yeah, the S&P makes me a little more bullish. Let's look at the transports. NASDAQ transports did break out of what was a rising wedge. We noted that. Round over. Similar market action down here towards the bottom. Look at yesterday. A close almost flat yesterday after a big reversal. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's not as bad as as we all think it is. Why'd you tell me 9, you son of a bitch? Anyway, so let's see what the day does here today, guys. Alright, guys, well, I'm going to get out of here. Yeah, definitely stay safe. Respect your stops if you've got them. I don't know if I'd start, like I said, Paul, I'm not sure if I'd start moving money around. If you want to move some of it around, maybe that's okay. If you want to be a little bit defensive, maybe 25, 33%, something like that. Maybe a little more if you look around and see something that you don't like. But yeah, let's see how today goes. Let's kind of revisit at the end of the day and kind of see what the market gives us, because yep, nothing set in stone either way right here. But it is a tumultuous time, and you do need to respect that. So, but yeah, I'm not sure if I'd move super long-term money. All right, guys, I'll see you later. Have a good one.